So, Robert, you've had a wild couple of days. Losing Khamzat Chimaev as your opponent just a week out from the fight, being replaced by Ikram Aliskerov. Would you walk us through kind of the timeline of how this all went down?
Mate, more or less, when you guys found out, I found out. I was just notified the morning of. There was some talking, discussions, and then by that afternoon, we had a new opponent, and the rest is history.
So, when this is all happening, you make it sound like it's very quickly. So there really wasn't a whole lot of time to be like, well, what do I do here, right? Or was there any sort of time in there where you're like, I don't know what's happening?
Well, yeah, no, not really. There was like the 2 hours while we were working things out on what's happening that were kind of up in the air. Like we found out Shemaev was out, and then there was that 2 hour gap of trying to work out what was happening, putting things together, and then yeah, Ikram was stepped in, and now we're fighting him.
Did you just make it clear to the UFC, like, listen, I'll stay on, find me an opponent I'm willing to fight, or was there a little bit more to it?
Oh, there's more to it, and my team are the ones who handle all that sort of side of things. But my team understood that I'm here to fight. I've done a big prep. I'm fit and strong and able, and this is my job. This is how I put bread on the table for my family. So they understood my objective was to get the fight to happen, and then the rest is up to them and how they proceeded with it.
Of course, of course. Now I understand you had heavily game planned for Chimaev. You'd worked on the right strategy for him. You see him as kind of a very different style, which in a lot of ways he is, of course. Ali Skarov, he brings some different elements to the table. How much did you know about him before his name came up, and how much have you learned in like this scramble since then?
Yeah, I had a pretty Chimaev ready game plan. Chimaev's a pretty unique fighter and he fights a unique way. So I had a game plan I'd worked for months leading into that. But Ikram brings, a different threat to the table. I hadn't heard of him or seen him fight before that. So, mate, it's just sometimes you got to just take things as they come. And yeah, I have full faith in my skill sets and my ability.
How much have you learned about him since then? Because obviously he was a new name for you.
Yeah, he's all right. I've watched some tape. There's not a lot of tape out there on him, but yeah, there's not too much to be honest.
Now, as we speak, it's, barely 24 hours since the fight has been announced. I mean, I don't imagine you've been able to do a whole lot of really formulating every single element. You worked for months, like you said, on planning Shemaev, but I mean, how much planning can you really get done in a day when you've only got a week?
Well, you know what? Like my skill set, I think adapts pretty well to a lot of different fighters. I jumped into the gym that day. I worked on different angles and things that I can work on, and just more or less strengthen my own skill sets. Just keep sharpening my own weapons, and yeah, it's my game plan for Chimaev was much as similar as well. It's like I throw out my game plan and dictate the pace and control the fight in a way that they have to worry about what I'm going to bring to the table.
And obviously, you've been through this kind of short notice shuffle before. You were supposed to fight, I believe in 2021, you were supposed to fight Costa the first time before you guys fought in your last fight we won. And then he withdraws about a month before. Kelvin Gastelum steps in of someone you were supposed to fight years ago, of course. What did you learn from kind of that short notice experience of switching opponents? Obviously, this one's a little shorter. You got a little less time.
Yeah, honestly, I haven't thought about it too much. The the key thing is that I'm just thankful to not only to my team and to the UFC for making the fight happen, to Ikram himself, because like I said, I've put in so much work to get to the fight, and it would have been devastating to not fight. So the fact that I'm able to get in there and still perform and you know earn a living, feed my family is yeah, I'm blessed.
Now, Ali Skarov, he was scheduled to fight this weekend. He was going to fight a new UFC signee. And all of a sudden, he gets to fight you, the former middleweight champion, in his third UFC fight. This is a giant step up. He's got a lot to gain, very little to realistically lose. you're kind of the inverse here. It doesn't seem like there's much on the surface for you other than a paycheck, right? You feed your family and all that. But what do you see as kind of the upshot for you in this fight?
Like, this is what I do for a living. Yeah, I I don't know. That is the upside. I get to do what I'm good at and earn a decent living off it. I get to put food on the table for my family. That's the upshot. This is what I was born to do, and I'm gonna do it.
But at the same time, I mean, this Chimaev fight, you were expecting, win the fight, get yourself a title shot again, right? You wanted to get back in there. I don't know if that's been bandied about, if there's any sort of, hey, you're doing us a solid here. Maybe we'll remember that kind of thing. Do you think that there is any sort of jump off fight from here, or is it really just I got to win this and then we'll worry about that?
Mate, I've got to win this, and we'll worry about everything after. That's how I've approached everything. Even with the Chimaev fight, it was just about winning the fight. Winning opens doors. No matter how you win, no matter who you beat, it it opens doors for you. That's the nature of the game.
I got you. I got you. And obviously, the stakes, like you said, they're different here, but the you win and that door stays open, right? You can still stay
No.
in that championship conversation. Everything is pretty wide open in your weight class. How do you kind of see the landscape of the middleweight division right now, especially at the top?
Mate, it's a bunch of fun, isn't it? It's very dynamic. It's very fluid. Um, yeah, there's a lot of movement there and opportunity to be had. So it's a good time to be a middleweight.
What do you think it's going to take for you to kind of get back to that fight? Obviously, your loss was to Dricus. He goes on and wins the belt, so there's a little bit of a storyline built in there, right? And probably just a little bit of extra motivation other than the title. Maybe get that loss back. Does that kind of come into your mind too when you look? I know you're not looking too far ahead, but when you do kind of look at the big picture.
Yeah, definitely. Like I want that fight again because I just want to I want to avenge that loss. But mate, that's for future Rob, right? It's I'm very much stay on task. I'm focusing on beating Ikram. I'm focusing on bringing my best game to the table next Saturday, and yeah, that's kind of where my timeline ends at the moment.
Sure, and I understand that, but I gotta ask you because UFC 305, it's in Perth, coming back to your home country. You haven't fought in your homeland in 5 years. August 18th is real close. I don't know if that's like too quick a turnaround for you at this point, but how much are you interested in kind of getting back and fighting in front of Aussies again?
Not too worried about it. I after this fight, I want to spend some time with the family. I want to take them away somewhere, so I'm not too worried about August, to be honest. I'll be there, but I don't know if I'll be fighting or not. Wait and see.
And obviously, like you said, you've been in Dubai. I don't know how long have you been in Dubai?
About a week at the moment, like
Oh,
just
okay,
under a
not
week.
too long.
No,
Okay.
no, no. It's just about getting used to the time difference and climatizing to the atmosphere and just getting comfortable, right?
Gotcha, gotcha. So what I'm getting at is essentially you haven't been away from your family too long at this point.
No, 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 no. I don't like leaving them for too long. They're my strength.
I know you're a big family guy. I mean, I always love that picture of you and with the unicorn floaty in the pool and everything. That's a good fun picture. Fun dad Rob coming out there. Um, your crazy thing is though, you're only 33 years old. You're not an old man by any stretch. You're still 15 years into your pro career, 10 years at middleweight, mostly fighting these top guys. You're not too old, but are you starting to feel the miles at this point as these days come about?
Yeah, definitely. Like I feel my tenure, the length of my career, and I'm blessed for it because I feel the experience is really starting to show through. That's why I do think that I'm really starting to hit my stride for my best years, just coming into now. And I fully intend to try and bring my new best performance next week. But yeah, it's been in the game for a long time.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you've talked about, all sorts of things that you see for your future. Obviously, you still very much want that middleweight title. That is very much in the picture for you. But in the past, you've also spoken about considering an eventual move to light heavyweight later in your career. Where's your mindset at with regard to that these days?
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think so. You know, I make I make middleweight pretty well. You know, I've got everything down to a science. I move really well at this weight division. I'm fast. I'm strong. I'm explosive. And yeah, I don't know. I'm happy where I am right now.
And you're not too, like you mentioned before too, and if you did go up to 205, there's the height thing, right? You're just a little shorter than the typical light heavyweight, although you're taller than the former champion Daniel Cormier, so there's that. Um, but I guess realistically, it looks like you certainly have a lot of time left in the middleweight division if that is what's your I don't know how long longer you want to keep fighting, but again, you're a young man, and this is how you feed your family, right?
100%, 100%. And I'm fully aware of the timeline. I'm fully aware of you know the passing of days, but because I don't want to be fighting forever. I don't want to be fighting late into my 30s. I want to set my legacy up, write my story, and then bow out at a reasonable time. On top, preferably.
Of course, of course. And then the last question I had for you, and this is unrelated to you in particular, but I wanted to get your thoughts from afar on the whole situation with Conor McGregor getting hurt, pulling out of UFC 303 against Michael Chandler. What's your kind of take on this whole situation? Just kind of watching it. Are you expecting we'll see him fight again, Conor?
It's hard to say. It's hard to say. That's the problem with having fights like few and far between because with such big gaps between them is like the chance of getting hurt, especially in the training we do, in the prep work we do, it's very high. The chances are pretty decent that you'll get hurt accidentally. So, and the fact that he only fights once every few years is like, if that hits on the timeline, then it looks, yeah, this happens. But it is what it is. Dude doesn't need a fight. I don't know why he's fighting anyway. Rich as hell, like And I think fighting's one of those games where you need to dedicate every morsel of brain matter and focus and energy you have into the game. That is the sacrifice. Is the fact that it consumes you, and he knows that better than anybody else. So I don't know. I don't know. Maybe, maybe not.
So if you were rich as hell, you're dipping out. You're done with fighting, right?
Oh, dude, I'm gone. I'm gone. Give me $100 million. You'll never see me again.